Good job containing them offensively, and it became just a sort of a low-scoring, grinded-out type of series, and you know, they were deserving. We weren't able to win at home, which surprised me because we're typically a very strong home team, and then we won 2 games in their building, which they were extremely good as a home team. So. It was very close. I mean, it could have went. You get a break here or there, it might have changed the series for us. But they ended up being the better team, and we had a crack at them.
Despite the visiting team taking the games, discuss the meaning of home ice for the Nashville Predators.
Well, the meaning of home ice is huge. I mean, our building to me is the loudest building. You know, you get 16,000 or 17,113 in there screaming. What's amazing about our building is the fans have a great way of forcing us to bring our game to the next level. Those TV timeouts, so this standing ovation. I mean, I always say to our media in Nashville is that it is very hard not to press on harder, and because you don't want to disappoint. It's so spontaneous, it's so good, and I think our market has grown immensely in the last 13 years, and it's a real strong market right now, and I think it's just going to get better and better. We're developing new hockey fans all the time.
A lot of players and a lot of teams were accused of diving and whatnot. Can you discuss the culture of diving and how it's increasing in the game?
Well, I think, you know, I was talking to Elaine backstage there, and there's so many teams that are so close, and everybody's trying to get the advantage of, you know, in Vancouver's case, they have a very strong power play, so they want to get as much advantage, to take advantage of that part of their game. And what I was finding, and it started before we with Vancouver, and I saw I think I labeled and should have taken the term chicken wing and sort of put a claimer on that, because everybody started using it. And then what it was is just, you know, we have the best referees in the world, and really, I think it becomes against the culture. Hockey's always a pretty fair culture, and that's really, to me, a little maybe old school, but let the players, the best team's going to win. The best team always does. The team that plays the best is always going to win, and you don't have to try to trick referees and that, because I just think it's the integrity of the game. You know, now that you got replays, you see all that, you got different cameras. No one wants to be made, you know, put in a bad light, especially the referees. And so I stated clearly that I think we should protect the referees and get out of this, let the best teams that play the best decide who's going to win a hockey game, not calls that are phantom calls, because, you know, you get an angle that a referee has. It's very difficult.
What's the missing piece of the puzzle for the Predators? How do you get to the
I think the missing piece is we got to establish a little more offensive presence up front. Our forwards, we got to develop a couple forwards, or get a couple forwards. I don't think we're that as far off. A lot of people say you need 3 or 4 guys. I think we're 2 off. I mean, if we get Matthew Lombardi back, it'd be real huge to our offense, hopefully. But just within, I think, you know, you look at the teams that are in the finals. The top 2 defensive teams in the league were in the finals. We were third in the league, and our defense, our goaltending, all stack up with anybody in the league. Our forwards, we just got to develop a couple of forwards. I mean, could Alexander Radulov be the difference for us? Maybe, I don't know. But, you know, there's so many teams that are so close. So for us, it's about maintaining the core. We've learned, I mean, a lot of times people forget, you know, Detroit Red Wings had 10 years of really tough series and failures, if you want, and they had, you know, the last 10 years of great success. So, you know, sometimes you've got to have swallow some of those bitter pills. We did one. We swallowed a bitter one in Chicago last year, but we were much more mature, or much better to handle the situations than ever before. So for us, it's just a little bit of growth. We're a young team. Create a little bit more up front offensively without losing our defensive mindset in terms of being able to check really well defensively. And just keep growing. I think we've got a really resilient group. We've got a great captain right there, and we've got a great organization that is committed to winning. We're through the tough times of just trying to survive. Our market is growing. You see that in not only in the stands and how we're generating a lot more revenue as an organization, and how we're spending that revenue. And that's just going to make us even better and better.
Last question: how, from a coaching perspective, if you were to learn you're going to the Southeast in a year, how would that change how you develop your team?
That would be a good question. That would be something I'd have to look at a little harder. One thing that I wouldn't want to do ever is that we've spent a lot of time developing a identity and a culture, and I don't think we need to change. I would have to probably, from our standpoint, spend a lot of time dissecting the East a lot more. Now that you play them twice a year, you don't really dissect them. But I can tell you, closing my eyes, I can give you an hour on the Detroit Red Wings of stuff that I can tell you about them, because we've played them so many times, and that would be probably the learning process again. I think what we would do is maintain our identity, play the way we do, and then try to dissect the other teams a lot better than we do right now, because we don't play them a lot.
Looking towards tomorrow night, how would you handicap the race with you and the other two?
Well, all I know is that Elaine beat me, so he's ahead of me. Danny did. I was talking to Danny. I thought he did a great job. I mean, anybody who has maybe two of the most explosive forwards in the game go out early, you almost have to change your whole culture. So I thought he did an outstanding job. There's a lot of coaches around the league that did an outstanding job, but I know Elaine won the President's Trophy and he went to Game 7, so I would give him the lead horse, and me and Danny are hoping that somewhere we fall in, I would hope.
What's this like for you, second straight year being here?
It's great. I'm a lot more relaxed. Obviously, knowing how everything sort of plays out. So I'm good with it. And last year was my first time ever being in Vegas, and I really enjoyed it. And I didn't have enough time to get to know what Vegas is all about. So second time around, it's good. I mean, just being nominated to me is a recognition of the organization, and I'm the representative for it. So, I just think that every time you get nominated, it's a recognition that this organization has done a terrific job of maintaining a culture, maintaining winning ways in terms of how we do things, and being consistent. And we're getting closer to the Cup. After we lost out to Vancouver, and I started watching, I had to skip a series because it's real painful when you lose. And then you sort of re-engage into the next series after that, and start watching. I realized that there's so many teams that are so close, and winning the Cup is really minuscule between, as I said to Lane, I mean, one of the biggest injuries I thought they had in their series is losing Dan Hatton, who was one of our defensemen in the year before. To me, it almost changed their whole culture with him and Rome going out. It didn't give them much of a transition game. So, and take nothing away from Boston, they were really strong. Didn't have any injuries that I know of. Everybody was playing a little bit hurt, but the injuries that they had, they didn't really have anybody that was out for any length of time. So you got to be good, you got to be lucky, and you got to have a team that stays focused for a long 62 days.
Looking back a month after the season, what did you learn this year that you'll do better next year or do differently?
Well, the biggest thing that I learned this year is that you have to change gears. After you win that first series, I thought we had trouble re-engaging. And as I said to Elaine, I think his team played 25 games, and I says, I got to correct you. I think you only played 24 because Nashville didn't show up in that Game 1 in Vancouver. And that was the change in the mindset a little bit, and re-engaging. And we re-engaged, I thought, well after that. But when you go down one game, that might be the difference. We win a home game, we're playing Game 7, and that could have been the difference of maybe getting by Vancouver. But the one thing I did learn that we're a lot closer to a team like Vancouver and Boston who played in the final, then maybe we even think sometimes we are. And we had a lot of guys that were out this year, and we've got a lot of growth, and we can be a better hockey team. But you need a complete buy-in by everybody and for a long period of time.